Hey, what's up guys, welcome back. So today's video is all about unit farming. So ever since the last banquet has ended, I've been tracking my unit farming journey in MCOC. I literally started with 3 units and I'm well on course to gain over 100,000 units by the time for the next banquet. And full disclosure, I am 100% free to play. Neither have I bought any cash offers, nor have I sat down and grinded mindlessly for hours, except for maybe once when I had a lot of time in my hands. And I thought of making a video with a breakdown on how I dedicate time in a way that I find efficient, so that by the time you finish this video, you can correlate it with your circumstance and hopefully make the most out of it. Now, this is going to be the general structure of this video. I'm also mentioning the timestamps in case you want to jump to a specific section. So I'm going to start with why I'm making a video on unit farming now. Then I'll glance through the different ways to gain units in MCOC. Then I'll spend most of the time breaking down how I farm units in terms of time invested versus units farmed. And then finally, some tips on how to optimize time for efficiency. So in my opinion, this is a way to avoid burnout. So why make a video on units now? As you might already know, units are the most important resource in MCOC, regardless of whether you are a free-to-play player or a spender. Now, if you are a spender in game, you have much more access to it. So for free-to-play players, it's much more important to be calculative on their unit farming approach and be aware of the key events to cash in on their units and gain the most out of it. Now, we are in the beginning of August, so we have exactly 5 months left for the upcoming banquet, which is going to be the best value for the unit spent all year. Now, I reached all the community milestones for banquet last year, and I believe even if you start now with 0 units, you can cash in on the majority of the community milestones. Now, this is after assuming a 50,000 to 60,000 units range for all the community milestones. Now, more on this later in this video. On this table, I list the different ways to gain units in MCOC. I just wanted to go through this before I address the elephant in the room, which is the arena grinding. Now, you might already be aware of these methods, but I just wanted to tabulate and show you how much units you can gain by the end of the year by just logging in and doing a few auto fights. So the Radiant store resets every 35 days, and it gives you 750 units per cycle. Let's hope they buff the Radiant store and it increases the amount of units you can get, but chances are they'll just reduce the amount of Radiance currency per unit. Anyway, let's see. Now you have the daily super events, which gives you 30 units per day for just doing some auto fights. The monthly event quest grants you 150 units per month. The double track event resets every 86 days and it gives you 1170 units. Then there is the weekly supply run, which gives you 70 units per cycle, and that's also some auto fights. So as you can see here, if you just log in daily and do a few auto fights, you can gain up to 30,000 units per year. That's a good chunk of units, guys. I highly recommend you log in daily, even if you don't have time to play. Just log in and do a couple of auto fights and grab those low-hanging fruits, and it's gonna add up quickly by end of the year. Now let's talk about the arena. So here's where I stand. If someone consistently clears every milestone in every arena, then they are probably one of these. They're a dedicated player, probably free to play. They are very disciplined, and most importantly, they have a lot of time to play the game. On the other hand, I'd also say there's a point of diminishing returns. So if someone is grinding every arena but isn't enjoying it, or it's replacing things they actually want to do, it can become more of a chore than a game. So that's a common sentiment among MCOC players. Some might enjoy the routine while others feel arena becomes repetitive over time. So here's what I think. If you have a moderately developed roster, go for all the milestones in the 6-star basic arena. Go for the initial milestones in the 4-star arena and the 6-star featured arena. Let's take a closer look at the math here. So if you take a look at this table, you can find that the 6-star arenas combined gives you 270 units with 55 rounds, and the 4-star arena gives you 270 units with 57 rounds. I would like to highlight that I have used several 4-star champion boosts in the 4-star arena, whereas in the 6-star and 7-star arena I haven't really used any champion boosts. Here's why I prefer doing the 6-star arenas over the 4-star arena. First of all, I like using my 7-star champions. Also, I like getting my featured champions as 4 stars, and using my 7 stars, I usually just blitz through each round at the rate of 2 minutes per round, and I don't have to spend time opening crystals and applying boosts on these champions individually. So from what I have experienced, when I do the 6-star basic arena with my team of 30 champions, who at this point are all 7-star rank 4s and rank 5s, I just have to dedicate 40 minutes and I'm done with all the milestones. Even if you don't have 30 champions who are 7-star rank 4s and rank 5, I don't think it makes a lot of difference. You can use rank 3 7 stars, you can use rank 5 6 stars, rank 4 6 stars with boosts, and you would still end up spending 40 to 50 minutes and get all the milestones in the 6-star basic arena. So if you're someone who don't have a lot of time, I highly recommend you start with the 6-star basic arena, and then based on the time you have left, you can do a few milestones from the 6-star basic arena and the initial milestones of the 4-star arena. This is what I recommend. What I personally do is on every iteration of the arena, I do all the milestones in 6-star basic and 6-star featured. This takes me around 2 hours, 10 minutes combined. And what I do is I divide this into 4 time slots of about 30 minutes. So all I have to do is find 30 minutes 4 times in 3 days, and I'm done with all the milestones in the 6-star featured and basic arenas. And based on the amount of time, do some 4-star arenas. So this is what I basically do. I spend about 2 hours every 3 days, and it's not 2 hours I dedicate to do arena. I usually do it in the background passively while I'm commuting to work or watching news or watching a movie, which is why it takes 2 hours in the first place. Otherwise I could probably speed it up a little bit as well. I find it to be a right balance, because this way I'm not getting burned out, I'm not going for all the milestones, and by doing so I end up claiming around 500-600 units every week. And I also pop open the battle chips right away, so I usually get up around 1000 units from the arenas every week. So that's where I stand. I really don't recommend going for all the milestones because eventually it's going to lead to a burnout. I recommend finding the right balance which doesn't affect your personal life and your temperament. Make sure you don't end up burning out by overdoing it. So find something that you can be consistent with, and over time it's going to add up and your unit stack is going to reflect that consistency. Now, in case if you're curious, I'm going to show you how the units stack up by just going with this approach. I've been tracking my unit accumulation from January of this year, and I'll share it with you so you can use that as reference. So as you can see, I gained pretty much the same amount of units every month. I stayed pretty moderate and consistent with the unit farming outside of maybe March. So in March I grabbed units from the Radiant store twice. This was also the month when I did all the milestones in all the arenas. I just did it once this year and I'm probably not going to do that again. So the only variance you see in each month is from the units I get from the battle chips. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same. So if you take a look at the units I spent, I did spend 600 units in May. This was for the Metamorphosis event for the third key. Then I also end up spending 20,000 in the Sizzling Summer Sales. The 6,000 unit deals were too good to pass on. I end up getting 4 rank 5s from that event. And the other 2,000 units was pure accident. I accidentally purchased 10 empowered crystals, and I accidentally popped open them. I raised the ticket, but Kabam said they wouldn't revert resources that I used. So in case you end up spending resources accidentally, just don't touch them, guys, and just raise the ticket and Kabam will revert them. I kind of learned it the hard way, and I paid 2,000 units for it. I don't hoard battle chips because I hate the idea of opening them towards the end and depending on RNG for the amount of units I get. I would rather know exactly how much units I have before going into an event, so I usually just pop them open every 3-4 days. But I do hoard the rebirth crystals because they do have the revives and I don't want them to go into the overflow and I could use them for the end game content. So if you summarize my progression, you can see I'm sitting at almost 39,000 units now after spending 22,500 units. So in effect, I have gained over 60,000 units in 7 months. And if you take any 5 months in my progression so far, you can see that it's 40,000 plus units. So by the end of the year, I'll have 100,000 units. And this is by no means an extreme approach. I'm going moderate. I'm just going for half the milestones and just being consistent with it so that I don't get burned out. What you can potentially gain is much more than this. So even if you start with 0 units now, you can easily gain 40,000 plus units by the time Banquet arrives. And it's estimated to be around 50,000 units for all the community milestones. So regardless of whether you are free to play or a spender, it's nice to start accumulating for the big event because we can almost guarantee that the best value for units is going to be Banquet like we saw last year. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you find it helpful. If so, please let YouTube know by upvoting this. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really look forward to hearing from you. I'll see you in another one. Take care. Bye.